Tyler. Okay, welcome to my immediacy interview video. Okay, so this assignment asked me to talk to a close friend of mine or someone that I'm in a relationship with and to ask them about some of the nonverbal cues within our relationship, specifically focusing on my nonverbal cues and seeing how I communicate them and what they've just overall observed based off of our time together, any time that we spent together. So I picked a close friend of mine. I'm going to refer to him as a nickname that I actually call him all the time, but it has nothing to do with his name, so there's no harm and it'll stay accurate. I'm gonna call him Pickles. So yeah, I met Pickles my freshman year. I started college in 2023, and so in my freshman year when I tried out for the STEP team, but we weren't super close my freshman year, and I think it's just because he was in the grade above me, and I was kind of scared to talk to the upperclassmen. I was like, oh my gosh, scary. And so yeah, so I've technically known him for about 3 years. We got really close this year because I'm one of the co-captains on the STEP team, and he's our head captain. But yeah. So as for our relationship, we're just friends. We're just very close friends. But for interactions, I probably see him at least 5 out of the 7 days of the week. And if I don't see him in person that day, I probably have called him or texted him that day. We are very consistent about our communications. And yeah. When I interviewed him, I did it in a comfortable situation, which a lot of times for us was me sitting in my car, and it was usually nighttime, and I would just talk because we talk a lot about life and different things in the car, so it made sense for me to do this interview in the car because that's where a lot of our interactions happen, so it would be in the most natural and real environment for us. I asked him about 12 questions. So I'm just going to go over some of the answers to some of the categories of the questions because I asked little tag-alongs, and I'll add the questions at the end of this video and in a separate document. But I asked him about my group communication versus our one-on-one communication and like how my nonverbal cues are formed and what he's seen. And he noticed that in groups, I tend to smile more. I make a lot more eye contact with people. He said I'm more intentional about making eye contact and that my body language is typically more open. And that versus like when I'm with him, and it's like just us one-on-one, he said that I tend to be more relaxed and it feels a little less performative just because he's seen how I am one-on-one versus with him. He said it feels more natural. So there are kind of 5 categories. I have emotional cues, eye contact, physical closeness, misunderstandings, and changes over time. So we're just going to go over those really quick. For emotional cues, he said that my facial expressions tend to reflect how I'm feeling in that moment, and that my silence tells a lot of volumes about how I'm feeling. Like one of the things that he said specifically is that when I am upset, like then he can see that I'm upset, that I tend to make less eye contact. Like I'll usually limit the eye contact to no more than 3 seconds. He said that when something like a lot of the things that he noticed about my social cues are when I'm like sad or when something's bothering me, and he said that I also tend to get tense and I would increase the distance between us, like physical distance between the two of us when I'm like feeling like for my emotions, like expressing that. He said that sometimes my body language will not doesn't reciprocate what I'm saying, like where like he can physically see that I'm not okay because my body language is telling him that, but that my verbal communication won't reflect that as well because I'll just tell him that I'm fine. Next we have eye contact. He had 3 categories for my eye contact. It was whether I was in a good mood, sad, or upset. When I'm in a good mood, he said that there's a lot more eye contact. It's that I smile more, I'm laughing, and I'm more playful with the way that I interact with him. When I'm upset, my eye contact is less, like I put less effort into having eye contact with him, and it's very closed off. And when I'm sad, that he said that there's little to no eye contact because I'm zoned out. Our next category is physical closeness. Okay, so he said that when I'm sad that I tend to seek more physical closeness, which typically would be the opposite, but I think it's because my body looks for comfort. And so he says that I'll seek physical closeness, and sometimes he can tell that I'm sad because I'll put distance because I'm hiding something in our physical closeness, and he'll notice and perceive that, and he will be the one to reach out and do physical closeness instead of me initiating it because he's perceiving that about me. He said that when I am happy, that my physical contact tends to be more playful, like more playful touch. Like I'll be playing with his hair or his beard, just like out of like, and yeah, that's kind of what happens with when I'm happy. Like I just I'm more playful with the touch. It's not like me kind of just sitting close to him or like with my head on shoulder. It'll be playful. Our misunderstandings, because miscommunication can happen with nonverbal communication because nothing's being said out loud. And I actually asked him to compare it to early on in our relationship versus now, and he said that early on that my playfulness tended to come off as flirty, which was unintentional, but as he got to know me, he realized that it was just me showing admiration. He used to read my distance from him as like shyness, or like when I'm quiet, he used to just assume that it was because I was shy because he knew I was introverted. He wasn't really sure why the distance was there. He also said that my body language contradicts my words, which is true, because sometimes I won't completely communicate what I'm feeling, and even though like I might have tears running down my face, I'll be like, no, I promise I'm fine, y'all, so yeah. And then I kind of just asked what's changed over time, and he said that he has a better read on me now, and it's mostly because he's gotten to know me and kind of knows the differences in my behaviors. He, like, for example, like now he knows how to read what's me being shy or like unfamiliar situation versus me being like trying to hide my emotions type of vibe. And he said that as time went on, he could recognize the differences in little emotions or like the subtle cues, which he wouldn't tell me all of them because he doesn't want me to change my behaviors to hide them more. Something that surprised me was that he notices more of the nonverbal cues than I think he does, and he just chooses not to verbalize that he recognizes them, but he told me that he sees them. He didn't tell me which one specifically because a lot of those are related to when we are having like heavier conversations, and he doesn't want me to change those behaviors because it helps him with figuring out how to guide and pursue that conversation further. It also taught me that I'm really easy to read, which is very surprising.